yesterday I did a webinar for ASTA. They've asked me to speak at Global Convention. Well, actually, so I'll read this out loud now. You let me know if you guys are going to any of these conferences. But as sort of a precursor to pique people's interest in what I'm presenting at ASTA Global Convention, which is in Reno, I give a program on leadership. I don't know if any of you were able to attend. Are any of you going to ASTA Global Convention? But I'm very excited about it because you don't see many speeches or training programs on leadership. And you know me, I come from it from my own personal experience, my professional experience. I train really on the leaders I've seen that I respect and I want to emulate, and even those who I didn't really respect much and don't really want to emulate, because you learn from both. You take the good, take the bad, and you create your own leadership plan. You're almost like a business plan for yourself. And you're all leaders. Everyone's leaders. I mean, that's the foundation for my program, is that everybody's a leader. Now, where they lead you is a different story. Where you lead them is a different story. Because a leader is an influencer, right? And there are positive influencers and negative influencers. So obviously the negative influencers are going to lead you down a bad path, and we hope you don't follow them. The positive influencers are going to lead you down a good path. Does that make sense? That's sort of the foundation for it. But then at conference, at Global Convention, I'm going to go into specifics. What you do as a leader to get that integrity, to get that respect, to move together as a team, to have a good, happy environment. Because if you have a great environment at work, you have a great environment at home, and you have just super success every day. Who else came? Hey, Diane just came in. Hello, Dan. But you got to leave early. That's okay, Diane. But I'm glad you're here right now. And I'm glad that you'll be able to watch the recording. So let me just run this real quick, and then we're going to dig in to the questions that were posted on Facebook, sent to me by email, and Ray already has a question. So welcome if you're just coming in. I'm doing a local gig next week here in Memphis for the local chapter of HSMAI, and that's actually called Supersize Me, Please. August 22nd, who's going to the Palace, the global conference at Palace? I've been fortunate enough to be asked back. This will be a three-peat for me, and that's August 22. Are you going to Palace? And of course, I'm going to make you jealous. Listen to me carefully. I'm going to go down several days early with my wife, Kimberly. I'm going to go to LeBlanc again. Could you imagine it 2 years in a row, LeBlanc? I am spoiled silly, but I can't wait. Then September 28th, I'm going to be in Reno for ASTA, the Global Convention. September 15th, I will be in San Diego for the Connection Conference, where I'll be delivering a keynote. October 7th, I'll be with Nexion again in Port St. Lucie. They have a group summit, and they asked me to come run their group summit. So very excited about that. And then October 30th, I'll be in Canada for an OMCA, an Ontario Motor Coach conference, and that one is in Canada, in Niagara Falls, Canada. So very excited about that. It's going to be a beautiful location. Then I'll be in New Orleans in November, that's October, for Travel Leaders, their national convention. And capping off a phenomenal second half of the year, December 3rd, I'll be back again. This is like a 9-peat, 10-peat, 11-peat, I don't know, with Cruise One, Cruises Inc., which is also Dream Vacations, and that'll be on the Carnival Vista December 3rd. So I'm going to check here. Will I see any of you at these? My goodness. Will I see any of you around town this year? Let's see. Hello, Ed. Ed's in the house. Good morning. Beverly is here. Welcome, Beverly. I'm glad you're here. Diane says, could I share some stuff about leadership with boot campers? Absolutely. I'm going to write that down because all this stuff is fresh on my mind after yesterday's webinar. So let me get to the group stuff, and then we'll get to leadership. That's a great question. Jenny said she loves LeBlanc. So do I. It's amazing. It's awesome. Robbie's here. Robbie's going to Connection. Cool. I'll see you there, Robbie. I'm excited. Awesome. And Jenny said she's going to be in Nashville in October. That's great. It's 3 hours from here. Not exactly a hop, skip, but a jump, but close enough. And I love Nashville. Have you ever been before? I love Nashville. We try to go as often as possible, but we haven't been. Actually, it's been it's been a while since we've been. We also like to go to build it around either a run or a music festival or a concert. Carolyn is hoping to attend the Next Gen group event in October. Cool. Excellent. Okay, here we go. We're ready to ding everybody. And again, I'm so grateful you're here. Today is August 4th, and welcome to the Ask Stuart Hour. The next Ask Stuart Hour is August 16th. I'm grateful you're here. Dawn, I'm going to start with some of Dawn's notes here. And, you know, we could spend hours just talking about this because these are big issues. And I encourage you that if you have any feedback, please share it. You know, there's nothing better than best practice sharing here. And by the way, if you do want me to turn your microphone on, type it in, say, turn my mic on. You know how it works. I'll let you know when I'm going to do it so I don't catch you off guard here. And so the first comment Dawn makes here, I'm going to run through, there's a lot here, but I want to cover all of them in a short amount of time, but give you some good quality stuff and get your feedback. Putting together the vital pieces of the package, a cruise tour, insurance, transfers, flight, pre-night, including a tour, escort services, and gifts. Now, Dawn, this was more of a statement than a question, but what I want to say to number one, that I love your thinking, because remember here, folks, there's a lot of foundations in group boot camp. One of the key ones is that I don't want you, listen to me, I don't want you selling the bare bones, off the shelf, stripped down product, because that's what everybody else sells. And particularly when you're doing a group, you're going to get destroyed on price point. What good are you? You're doing the same thing all the online travel agencies are doing. But then it gets complicated because, you know, nobody said success was easy. Write that down. That could be the best quote of the year. I'm sure somebody has said it. Nobody said success would come easy. But with practice, once you do this and once you see that you can do it, and one of the most important things, Dawn, is that you and everybody else at boot camp, you know more than you think you know. You're better than you think you are. So just get that confidence factor up, saying that you can do it. But the most important thing about putting these pieces together is making sure they're the right pieces. Because if they're the wrong pieces and you present the package, it will fail. They won't buy. Or they'll ask you to break out the pricing, which you don't want to do. So remember, if you've gone through boot camp, the first thing you want to do is say that you are an expert at creating a high-value package. In other words, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, please, will you give me permission to present you with sort of an inclusive, don't say all, don't get yourself in trouble, an inclusive package. Because when I can put all the pieces together, it gives me better negotiating power, and I can give you the best value. In other words, I can include more rather than nickel. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, do you want me to nickel and dime you? Of course not. I don't want to do that either. Do I have your permission? Yes. And then you're going to play detective. You're going to qualify. You're going to understand all the things they want and don't want. What have you heard me say here before? The first question you ask after the packaging is, what don't you want? Because if you can eliminate the things that they don't want, you minimize, if not eliminate, the opportunity for them to say no. That's why most people don't end up buying from us, because we've given them something they don't want. Usually, if we forget to give them something, they'll say, oh, wait, you forgot that dinner and such. Oh, wait, you forgot the tickets to Aunt Frank's house. Okay, no problem. I'll add it in. But if you give them something they didn't ask for, they're gone. Well, they don't want to pay for something they don't want. And it also shows that you didn't do a good job of playing detective, of qualifying, of listening. Because remember, every time they say something, you're going to mirror it back. You're going to repeat it. So you know that they're listening. They know that you're listening. And also it gives them a chance to hear it. Right? You know this. It gives them a chance to hear it and go, you know what, no. We don't want to do that. Or that they'll put a twist on it. But at the end of the day, it confirms for you what they want and don't want, and it confirms for them that you are listening. You're paying attention. And then when you go to present the package, you can show them the notes. In fact, you're gonna copy them in on all the conversations in the notes. So they can say, oh, yeah, you're right. When we talked on the 4th, you said, You said, well, we can build a dinner in, and I told you yes, that's great. Number 2 question here, getting the supplier quotes, and then I'm going to check comments and questions, see if you guys have anything to add or say. Number 2, getting the supplier quotes and coordinating net versus gross quotes. Yes, I highly, highly, highly endorse, and do you do this now, everybody? I endorse netting it down. Netting everything down, grossing it up, because you could be working with some peripheral suppliers who give you a net rate. Now, if you're not good at math, it could be intimidating. But in boot camp, I give you the chart. It's not an exact science what the markup chart is. If you want to make 30%, 20%, what you need to multiply the numbers by. If you need help, let me know. But I highly recommend that, and use a spreadsheet. Use a spreadsheet or ask an accountant for help, so that you net everything down and mark everything up. Because if you start messing around with net rates and commissionable rates, it's impossible, my friends, right? It's impossible to come out with perfect numbers. Somewhere along the line, things are going to get screwed up. And then number 3 here, creating the full package price. It's not easy to determine the selling price. I know when I set the price for my river cruise, it was not easy. So what you need to do is really sit back, think long and hard. Put yourself in the shoes of your customer. They're going to shop you, and then they're going to look at the bare bones stripped down off the shelf price, aren't they? They're going to look at those prices, and they're going to look at your price. And your price is going to be higher, of course. Why? Because you include all of it. So you want to look at the same things that they're going to compare you to. And then you as a customer, make believe you're the customer. That's so important to play that game with yourself and say, would I pay that? Is that fair? Is that a fair number? And then go with it. And there's the art and the science of it, Dawn, and everybody, which is coming up with a price point that is fair to the customer and fair to you, because you're entitled to earn a living. You're entitled to make money here, more than the 10 or 12 or whatever % commission a supplier is paying, because that's just a gratuity. So before I go to 5, 6, and 7, I want to see if anyone has any comments about this. Oh yeah, okay, now yeah, this is great. Robbie says, well, how do you handle the separate charges for all the components? And that's one of Dawn's quotes. We're going to talk about that next. We've actually talked about this a number of times on the Ask Stuart Hour, because there is no one perfect solution. So many of you who are seasoned at this have your own solutions. I'd love you to keep sharing this stuff, because it's not easy. Going to get to that in a second, Robbie. Hang on. Gina says, hi, welcome. Happy Thursday, Gina. I'm glad you're here. Yvonne is here. Hey, Yvonne. I'm so glad you're here. And you have an opportunity, too. Okay, we're going to talk. We're going to get to yours, too. We're going to get to Ray's. And Diane adds to this, a spreadsheet also helps you keep track of complicated trips with payments and visas, so you can see in one place if something is missing. Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, we did make the Client Ease announcement. And if we want, I'll review it with you guys. I posted a cute little video. I hope you liked it. I don't know if you did or you didn't. A cute little video announcing it. And I don't really. I made a commitment not to do any advertising, any promotions, to keep it nonpartisan. So it's just straight learning and motivation and education. But man, oh man, oh man, I can't even begin to tell you how many emails or notes I got on Facebook saying we're using index cards, or we're using Excel, and we're using something we don't love that we're paying for, that we don't use it because it's complicated. The whole idea is that you want a tool, a solution for CRM, for managing all this stuff that doesn't cause more stress, that reduces stress, reduces risk, adds value and convenience. And I couldn't resist, my friends. I hope you don't mind. If you don't buy Client Ease, we're still going to be best friends. But if you need it, take a look at the offer. It's phenomenal. Darla's my friend. I've known her for years and years and years. You don't get a more reliable person who's got as much integrity as Darla and her sister. And they put together a special promotion for boot campers. So we will talk about that. But that will help with groups, enormously help with groups. Okay, so let's go to how do you, because Dawn, you had this too, and Rob, you had this too. with payments to different suppliers. You know, and one of the short answer is, of course, you could call in people's credit cards to all the different vendors. But then what happens? Then all your clients see the different price points. And that don't hunt, because you're going to be paying them the net rate, so your client's going to see the net rate, or you're going to have to pay them the commission rate, wait for a check to come back. It's not ideal, but that's typically the way I think most agents do it. Then, of course, you have some suppliers, the big suppliers, that allow overpayments. You guys know that. The first thing I would suggest is try to work with those suppliers who allow overpayments, because it's in their best interest, because they're going to get more business from group producers, because the best group producers out there do what I'm suggesting you do. You make sure you get approval for the overpayment, when you're going to get that money back, and all this kind of stuff, okay? And you may take a hit on it, but that's okay. If you take a 3% hit, isn't that okay? Because if you have your own merchant account, do any of you have your own merchant account? It's not cheap. It's not easy. That's at least 3%. And you're paying a monthly fee. So it's okay. It's a cost of doing business, friends. Cost of doing business. Now, another way that I have suggested to you is to attempt to break the payments into different portions, so that you collect some of it by check and the rest by credit card. Have you ever tried this before? And you need to know that what you need to do is tell them up front, said that there's going to be a portion payable by check to your agency, and you're going to pick just a round number. Could be 500, could be 1,000, could be 200, whatever that number is. And because that's where you're going to build in all those components. That money you're going to collect is going to allow you to pay all those other vendors. And then the rest will be on a credit card, which might be direct with the supplier. Or, I mean, if you're a merchant account, you're going to collect everything, but you probably don't. Have you tried that? Because especially if the amount is small enough and sort of inconsequential, nobody's going to moan and groan about putting it on a check. And if they don't have a check, then get Venmo or use PayPal, because it allows you to transfer money to, so it's not a payment, just for transfer money, especially Venmo, from their checking account to your checking account. And of course, if you have a great confirmation and an invoice showing them how it all works, they shouldn't have a problem with it. Let me check to see if anyone has a comment. Where did I put my glasses? Oh, let's see if anybody has a comment about what I've just said. Diane says she uses Square and add in 3% to cover fees if you can't come up with another solution. PayPal is another solution. Exactly. I've got to tell you, friends, and I'm nothing but honest with you, and I tell you what I do. For my river cruise, for my partial ship charter, I'm collecting through PayPal. I'm collecting money through PayPal. That's what I'm doing, and that includes all the add-ins and everything. I could have had the payments go direct to Alma, and there's a 3% charge for that because, again, it's a charter and they're collecting it, but I wanted to collect it all. And nobody had it questioned it at all. And Gina just says, I just had to address the merchant account decision. My solution was to go with Square, just like Diane, because I can send an invoice via email with a secure payment link. Right, PayPal, you could do that too, but Square. I hear more and more talk about Square. Thanks for sharing, Jen. And Jenny says, merchant account like PayPal. Yes, exactly, where you can take a credit card payment direct. But, PayPal can get tricky, because if you have to make a refund after the time period, 60 days, whatever it is, then the refund goes back to a PayPal account, not back to the credit card, and it can get messy if they don't really have a PayPal account, because the PayPal says that, you don't need to have a PayPal account. You can just use PayPal for a credit card, but it gets a little bit messy. And I had an issue with that, and I called PayPal, and they did refund the money back to the person's credit card, and they don't have to do that. So maybe Square Square offers a better option. Gina says, Square keeps me in compliance and I never see the credit card information. Perfect. That's it. You never want to see the credit card information, folks. The more you can send them a secure link, have them send the payment in, you just never want them to send you. I get this sometimes. People send the whole credit card information with the CVV. I'm like, that's dangerous. Now I'm liable because I have it. And I go delete, 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 but it's out there. It's still there. It scares me. And you don't want to get that phone call saying, I sent you the credit card and, you must have a breach in your system. I don't. So this way, if you say HTTPS, if it's secure, then you're going to be okay. And let me see here. How does that work with, all right, let's, but there's a lot of comments here, so let's go with it. Dawn says, how does it work with a host agency collecting outside the commissionables? That, Dawn, I don't know. It depends how your host works with that. If some of these peripheral suppliers are part of the preferred supply network offered by your host, then I would imagine everything's got to flow through your host. See, every host works differently, so I don't want to get myself or you into trouble here. I got a lot of friends who run host groups here, so I don't want to give out bad information. I also don't want to tell you to try to beat them. I mean, I don't know how it works because in some cases you sign an agreement that even if you book in any kind of supply, any kind of business, a percentage has to go back to the host because they're putting you in business. You're booking through their numbers and so forth. I don't know how it works. If you are legally able to collect those commissions direct, if you can take a check direct to your agency or not. I always say honesty, because the last thing you want to do is have to go back and make excuses and have to go to sleep worrying that you're going to get a letter or a phone call that look, I'm all for being creative, but I'm not for being too creative because that gets you into trouble. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to answer to somebody, but check those agreements. I really don't know. But I would hope that your host has received that question a million times before and has an answer for you, because I would hope your host is encouraging that you do groups because it's good for them. Ed, thank you, Ed, says my host prohibits me from taking payments. They do it for me, but under their name with 10% off the top. I'd love to hear how other hosted agents handle this. That's fascinating. I'm going to read it again, everybody. Ed's host prohibits him from taking payments. They do it, but under their name with a 10% taken off the top. I'd love to hear how other host agencies handle this. So there's one issue there to deal with, and I understand it's not easy. The answer is Square and PayPal allows you to collect your commission up front rather than waiting for the vendor, especially if you are paying out of pocket for gifts. Right. So Square and PayPal allows you to collect commission. I'm not sure I know what that means, other than that if you if you send somebody a charge and includes the commission, you can collect the full amount. It doesn't have to be the net amount. I think that's what you mean. Molly says, remember that some states require client money to be held in a separate bank account, a trust account, if you take direct payments. Thank you, Molly. Yes. Is that also called escrow? Isn't that also called escrow? And sometimes if you don't really know these people and they don't know you very well, whether it's required by law or not, you may want to do this. But certainly if it's required in your state, in your city, in your town, then you got to do it and make it well known. Thank you, Molly, for reminding us of the legality of that. Gina says, I'm with a host, but I'm still paying the supplier's full payment for the trip, and the commissions are still going to the host. So in Gina's case, she's with a host, but the suppliers, she's still paying the supplier's full payment for the trip, but the commissions go to the host. So Gina, more than likely, when you go to make that booking with a supplier, your agency is tagged as a member of that host, or you're using a special phone number, a special booking number, and they know that you're not necessarily independent, but they know that you're with this host, and that's how it works. All right, this is all good stuff, and Dawn, this was on your list here, applying payments to various suppliers. right? Number 6, processing add-on fees involved, which suppliers may not allow in their payment process. It's all part of the same, challenge. It's definitely a challenge, but there are ways to do it, and I want to see you succeed here, because really and truly, it's so hard to be a big group producer, successful, making money, when you can't package, when you can't earn the money that you deserve, that you have earned. And these are great issues to discuss with your host too, because believe me, the host is in it to win it. So the more they can enable you, provide for you, help you sell more, they make more. It's win-win. So these are great conversations to have with them. Maybe, I don't want to favor one host over another, but I'm friends with a lot of the presidents, the founders of these hosts. Maybe I can bring some on, but I don't want to show favoritism to one or the other. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll get a big supplier on and talk about how they talk about handling overpayments and packages and stuff. What do you think? Let me know. Now, I want to add this from Carolyn. Then I'm going to go back and see what more you have written in. Thanks, everybody. If you've come in late, welcome to this edition of the Ask Stuart Hour. I live for this. I love this. I really love this. And I haven't seen anybody type in anything about clientees just yet in terms of, so you guys know what the deal is, what the costs are. So if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it. But the next thing is that Darla, they're building out a special page with more information, with a demo, all the details, because I'm not going to do training on clientees. I'm not taking any payments on it. I've been your negotiator, making a dealio for all of you guys and girls, and you go get it. And then it would make me so excited, because I know you're going to report back saying, it's easy to use. It saved my life. It put hours back into my day. How often do you beg for that? So Carolyn says, now listen, everybody, I want to get answers from all of you on this. To add another request that tags along to this conversation, when we package, do we remain the travel agent, or do we move more toward being a tour operator, so to speak? I'm going to read it again. When we package, do we remain a travel agent, or do we move more toward being a tour operator, so to speak? And are we taking on additional liability and legal consequences that we need to be aware of? What do you guys think? Type in and let me know. And again, if you want your mic turned on, let me know too. I want to answer that, Carolyn. It's a great question. And in a way, you're becoming a tour operator, but don't consider yourself a tour operator. You're not a wholesaler. You're not reselling it through other travel professionals and paying a commission. So by true definition, you're really not. Let me tell you what I believe you are. And some of you who've been in the business a couple of years like me, remember this phrase or this expression or this name, and some of you may have never heard of it before. 3 letters, FIT. FIT. Who here's been in the business a couple of years, around the block a couple of years? If you remember way back when, our business was largely FIT. There were very few preset tours. So a consumer would call a travel agent and piece together, bit by bit, piece by piece, a trip with the air, which was commissionable then, hotels, everything was commissionable, and would do it. So, Carolyn, to answer your question is no, you're not a tour operator. You're really becoming more of an FIT agent, which is really individual packages. You know, you're individualizing the trip. So it's been done before, it's being done today, and it can be done by all of you. Now, in terms of risk and liability and legal consequences, to be very honest with you, I really don't think it adds any more legal consequences. Does it add more risk? Well, to the degree now you are depending on 3 or 4 different suppliers, 3 or 4 different providers versus just one. That's a risk. But I would imagine each and every one of you has E&O insurance, errors and omissions. And I would also imagine each and every one of you make sure that travel insurance is purchased and that the travel insurance covers every component of the trip should something go wrong. So the best you can do is to protect yourself and to protect your client. And number 3, Carolyn and everybody else, to pick those peripheral suppliers, those other vendors, to provide third-party services that you can trust. And I would hope that you can use the suppliers that are preferred, that are recommended by your host, or by your franchise, or by your consortium. Because then at least they're proven out. I mean, your host, your franchise, your consortium is not going to recommend them unless they trust them too. And at least you know, should something go wrong, there's another person you could call. There's another place you can call for help. You know, I hope that's a good answer. Let me just check to see, and then I want to get to some of the, we got everyone posting stuff here. These are great conversations. Dawn says we need a whole hour on some of these. I know. It's all good stuff. We can talk about it more on Facebook and give stuff, but also if there's also, folks, listen to me. If there's something in boot camp that you think can be expanded upon, okay, tell me. All right. You know, I try to break everything into bite-sized modules, so it's very focused. But if there's an area you want me to go deeper into or add more, tell me. Let me know. I'll put it out there. If you guys need it, I'll do it. I'm here to serve you. You're my clients. I want to give you what you need. So you let me know. Molly says, not sure about terminology, but CA, California's Hell of Travel, specifically requires a business client trust account. And I think that's great because it's a peace of mind for you that you're putting the money aside and saving it, and it's an important peace of mind for your client too. I remember a very, very big travel agency in New Jersey that didn't do that, and they spent most of the money before it was sent to the suppliers, but we won't go down there. Linda says, hi Linda, my host agency pays me my commission after I pay direct to the supplier. Okay. Now, the question is, though, do you get that commission right after you make the payment to the supplier, or do you get the commission right at sale time or right at departure time or after departure time? You know, I get different suppliers work differently and different hosts work differently. I'm not sure that's relevant to the situation other than if you've made an overpayment, right, Linda, to that supplier, then you need that money to pay those peripheral suppliers. You don't want to go into hock, take out loans to pay these other vendors. You want that money as quick as possible. Molly says, Carnival is easy to work with groups and allows overpayments up to a certain amount. Everybody hear that? Molly says, confirms, and this is great, thank you, because you want to support the vendors who support your business model of what you need. Carnival is easy to work with groups and allows overpayments up to a certain amount. Yvonne says, many years ago, I left my host because of the complications around commissions. I decided to get my own true, T-R-U-E, true number, and now I have more control. There's another option, Yvonne. Thank you very much for that. That's right. You have a true number, which I would imagine almost all suppliers accept, so you can book direct. Now, of course, there are pros and cons to working with a host. I'm not even going to go down that path to talk about it because that's a very personal choice. It's a personal business choice. But there are definitely pros and cons. And I am going to come back to your question that you asked before. Dawn says, my host agency just created a new CRM and she loves it. So Dawn does not need clientees right now because they have a CRM tool that's great. So I would imagine you can put all your individuals, your group bookings in there. It's not just CRM, but it also handles the money and all this kind of stuff, which is awesome. Awesome. Fantastic. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go back here, and so you guys typed in some questions. We got a lot coming in. Very, very, very exciting. Okay, all right. So Ray, because I want to get to everybody here. Ray says, and if we need to go back to something, we will. I'm here for you. Ray says, as a question regarding what expectations should you have when you work with your BDMs, when you know they have large territories and they have larger accounts? It's a great question, Ray. Well, it really varies by supplier. Every supplier gives their BDM or DSM different marching orders of really who they should be talking to, on what level of frequency. Some really micromanage their staff, and some don't micromanage their staff. And when I ran the show, I was director of key account sales with Celebrity. I need to give that level of empowerment to my BDMs, because I want my BDMs, so this is my philosophy, Ray. I would want my BDMs and DSMs to, of course, show huge support for the loyal producers out there. So if you're already a loyal producer for somebody, I believe you should expect a great level of service. And you should know in advance how frequently they're going to come visit with you. So first of all, everybody, if you show great loyalty to a supplier, ask your BDM or DSM straight out, saying, am I in your territory? Where do you classify me? Because in my book, you're number one. You're my top. Okay, so you be honest and tell them that either you're number one or you're a group of my primary preferreds. So therefore, how often can I expect to see you and or hear from you? What you can always expect, though, and make sure that they confirm this, is that, Ray, when you reach out to them, that you're going to get an immediate response, especially those suppliers you're most loyal to. When you need help, when you have a question, you have every right to expect a reasonably great follow-up. And ask them, how do you want me to contact you? By text, by phone, or by email? What's the best way? Because having been a BDM and DSM, man, I would get obliterated, inundated with emails, not only from you guys, but from headquarters. Inundated. So find out what the best way is, especially if you're a top producer for them. Okay? When I say top, a very important account to them, they may give you their cell phone, some way to call them directly. Now, here's the other thing I would say to my BDMs and DSMs. I want you to be on the prowl for new opportunities, because it's one thing to maintain and sustain those who are already loyal, but your mission now is to go to everybody else and put a lot of effort into raising that business and trying not to make it a market share game, stealing it from other vendors, but having legitimate growth in your business. So you've got the top producers, okay? You've got those in the middle here who you don't want to lose that. You want to keep the momentum, keep that growth, and then you have the new opportunity accounts. So Ray, if there's a supplier you want to work with and you believe it'll be no opportunity for you and for them, you got to have a sit down. And you could offer to take them out for lunch. Now, I doubt they're going to let you pick up the bill, but if you want to get their attention, you offer to take them out for lunch. And you tell them what your plan is. You tell them about your business. And you tell them what your plan is, what your goal is in working with you as a new supplier. But it's got to be a two-way street. What kind of support can they give you? How often will they come visit? How often can they do training programs or virtual programs, whatever? So it's really, Ray, that's a long answer to a crystal clear question. What kind of support can you expect? It really depends on the type of loyalty you're going to give that supplier or that you want to, and what their response is to that request. And frankly, if you're looking to give great loyalty to a supplier and they don't have the time of day for you, if they got lousy follow-up skills, you're gone. And tell them, listen, I got to pull my business. It may be inconsequential to you, but it's important to me, and I'm on a growth track here. I love you. if you want to come back in and give me the love that I need here to grow our business together, the door is always open. But we're a team here. And if you don't want to be part of my team, then I'll find somebody else. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. But you got to be honest. And if you promise to deliver and work with them, deliver. I know it's never a gimme. It's not easy. But when you both roll up your sleeves and you ask your BDM and DSM, hey, what am I not doing that your most successful agents are doing? If you don't ask your BDM or DSM that question every time, you're missing out on a phenomenal opportunity. The question again you want to ask them is, what am I not doing that all of your other top accounts are doing? And they'll tell you. Because remember, it's win-win. Your growth is their growth. They only make money if you're making money. Great question. I hope that helps. All right, let's put my glasses back on, take a sip of coffee, take a breath. And let's keep going here. Let's see. Leadership, connection, convention, hoping, wait. Hey, Robbie, we got to you. Hold on. Okay, Yvonne. An agent from Kenya has asked me to work together to bring a group from Kenya to cruise the Caribbean. I have never worked with outside U.S. agents. Number one, listen up, everybody. Maybe you have, maybe you can help. Should we have a contract? And number two, what important points should I add for this agreement? So this is exciting because you're going to be used as an inbound travel agent, okay? And this doesn't happen very often unless you're in sort of an organization, a company who offers out these services because they have affiliates or they do marketing elsewhere in Europe or Africa, around the world. I am more familiar with agencies here and companies here who've set up special contacts. What are they called? DMOs. DMOs, help me here. Oh my goodness, my goodness. Oh man, it's going to come to me. So dependable vendors who are usually travel agents, sometimes tour operators, who will help your inbound, who only handle this. So this is a very unique area, and I'm glad you've asked this question. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't know, but I'm going to give you some solid answers. And I'm going to find out and follow up with you. And I want to know if anybody else has ever done this before. To answer your specific questions, absolutely, you need to have a contract. Because you need to, it's almost like a group agreement contract. You can follow the same things, Yvonne, because you want to clearly spell out what your role is, what their role is, and especially how the money works. Especially if you're the one who's going to be paying the supplier, and they're the one collecting the money from the customer. So it's got to be the trail, the financial trail has to be perfectly mapped out with dates. And if you can, check out this agent. Now, maybe you already know this agent. They're a friend. Maybe you don't. But do a little, sort of vet them. Vet them to make sure. Have they ever done things like this before with other agents? Yvonne, are you part of a host or a franchise? I don't remember that you can contact. Do they have a forum where you can talk to other agents who may have done this before? You know, this is an area I'm not an expert in. But what I can tell you is you've got to have that contract. The second question is, what important points should I add for this agreement? So what you going there? I got news for you. I don't, other than if you take the group agreement letter template and you add a whole other level, number 7, remember, because there's really 6 key elements of the group agreement letter. But the element of the finances, I think you're going to be okay. I think that will stimulate you to ask the right questions, to identify the right issues, the areas if everything that could possibly go wrong, that's what you want on that agreement. And they're going to love it too. Because they're going to see that you're in control, you're a good manager, and they're going to feel better about doing business with you because they could be sitting there doing the same thing. But if you've got the opportunity to create the agreement and do it, write it out together with them, and add that whole financial stream and dates, and make sure that you're protected so that you're not going to lose money, so that you have enough money to pay those deposits, and that it's very clear that the payment terms and the penalties. And one other thing, I think there's no better opportunity than right now to have that escrow account. So let's say if that agent is collecting the money, it goes into a joint escrow account with you. Or if you're collecting the money, it goes into a joint escrow account with them. So that, gosh forbid, something terrible should happen to your account, it's in escrow. It can't be touched. You both own it. You both have to agree to the terms of when money comes out. I hope that helps. Let's see. Dawn added inclusives. Would you include inclusive as an add-on package? You keep the cruise quotes as priced. Would you be able to offer two options? Would that be too confusing or a good idea when having a higher ticket cruise? Back in the day, I used to highly recommend a menu. Pick and choose, tell me what you want, and then I'll, and you show the price points. Now I'm a believer that you can do the pick and choose, tell me what you want, but more as a detective. But you don't show those price points because you all put it in together. Yes, you can offer two options, but when it comes to a group, it could get a little dicey. Because what you don't want to have happen is, a week before, listen to this, a week before departure, people call and say, oh, you know what, we decided, yeah, we wanted to go ahead and book that excursion. Yeah, we decided we wanted to, can you do that? And it becomes a nightmare going back and, so you would hope that you can create sort of a bandwagon approach that more people than not, that everybody wants that package. But if you find that it's really split, Dawn, and everybody, that it's really split. Some people want to go all in, some people don't. Then you may have to offer two options. Don't go more than that. And you know what? You can. Here's what I would suggest you do: offer it as the deluxe or the premium. You don't want to make the people who don't want the full package feel bad, because it could certainly be a financial issue, right? You don't want to make them feel bad that that now everybody knows they couldn't afford it. So don't give it a bad name. Don't call it basic. Maybe you want to call it deluxe and premium. So at least people say, well, we bought the deluxe package, but then there's also the premium package. That's okay. That's okay. But what you'll have to do too, in response to the first comment I made, is make it clear what dates they can make changes, what the deadline is where they can make a change to upgrade. And you really don't want them to downgrade. You want them to only upgrade, because remember, you then need to go coordinate with the other vendors that you have additional people, and that gets a little dicey. So protect yourself. And if it has to be 30 days, make it 30 days. If it has to be 60 days, make it 60. Protect yourself. And if somebody wants that close-in change to upgrade, it may be additional. Just say that, hey, if you choose the premium package within 30 days, it's an additional $50. That's a good inspiration. Tell me if that helps. Okay, let me see here. Because we have there were other questions here. Who did I not many years ago ask you regarding responsibility? FIT. Oh, okay. Now we're caught up now. Carolyn says, thanks, Stuart. FIT makes perfect sense. Good. Yeah, I'd much rather you consider yourself FIT than a tour operator. Linda says that although you pay the supplier and the commission goes to the host, everybody's got to wait till they travel, which I get. I understand in case there's an issue. Gina says Princess allows overpayments as well, and they will tell the amount you can overpay. that's great to know. So far I've seen Carnival and Princess work well with groups in terms of the overpayment, telling you in advance how much. Dawn wants to know if my speaking schedule is posted on stuartloydcohen.com. It is not, and it's something I really should do, but maybe I will. But just so you know, if you've joined in late, if you're going to any of these conferences, then I will see you there. The Palace Resort Conference, the ASTA Global Convention, the Connection in San Diego, Nexion Group Summit in Port St. Lucie, OMCA in Canada, the Travel Leaders in November, and Cruise One, Dream Vacations in December in Carnival Vista. If you go in there, I'll see you there. But I will post it. That's a great idea. Ray says, thanks. This has to do with the Alaska events that are planned for the fall. Got it. I know what you're talking about. I'm feeling a bit under-supported right now as I try to lay the foundation for these events. Listen, you got to work with the people who you like working with. And sometimes you may love their product to pieces, but if you don't love their support, you got to move on. Or you have an option. You have a sit-down. Be honest. Maybe that BDM or DSM, maybe you've never done that kind of business yet. Maybe they don't know you well enough. Have a communication. Say, listen, I got to be honest with you. If you can't, I will understand, but you got to be honest. Can you give me the support I need? Here's what I need. Can you deliver? Yes or no? If it's yes, you'll get the business. If not, I got to walk. Stuart, hey Stuart, says there are a few lazy BDMs out there. Yeah, I don't know how BDMs these days could be lazy, to be very honest with you, because there's so much pressure. It's always been. But you know, a good leadership would never have a lazy person on their team, ever. Because when I was managing a team, I knew it. I knew who was lazy. I knew who was lying. I knew who was out there making things happen. Dawn says, read Kenya, back to Yvonne's question, with a cold call, how do you know if it's legit? See, we didn't go into the details of that phone call or opportunity that Yvonne got to work with an agent in Kenya who needs help booking a Caribbean cruise. And that's a good point. Vet that. Understand. Make sure that everything is cool. Molly says, that's it, DMC. Thank you, Molly. DMC. DMC does that. Thank you so much. Destination Management Company, DMC, right? That's who you want to work. That's what they're typically called when you work with a company that handles FIT, that puts things together. Stuart says, I always ask the question about how we can work together better instead of being completely truthful. I just let some of the sleeping dogs lie, as I might need them in the future. I agree. Never burn bridges. So in effect, if they are lazy, I'll at times leave it for now and move the business to someone that's eager to work with me. Then on my next opportunity, show the lazy BDM the missed opportunity. Yes! Told like a true leader. I am not going to give the business to somebody who doesn't deserve it, who doesn't want it, who doesn't appreciate it. But you let them know after, in a kind, loving way, because you might need them in the future. You're not going to wave it in their face. You're simply going to say, look, I just want you to know the kind of business I'm doing with your buddy over there, with your competitor. And I can do the same with you. And here's all I need. And things could change. Thank you, Stuart, for sharing that. Dawn says, read Kenya, if they're an agent, why are they not going directly to the supplier? Well, it's not true that if you're international, you can automatically book with a supplier and get commission, just so you know. Agents located in Europe have a whole different commission and pricing scheme, and in many cases, Europe agents are not allowed to book U.S. consumers because the cruise lines, in this case I'm referring to, give different price points, and they don't want the business end up being the price points end up being different. So all of a sudden, you know, there's an agent in London who's got a phenomenal price point and U.S. agents don't. It's only so low because a lot of times you have issues with, of course, the dollar, the value of the dollar versus the euro, you know. So it's not always possible. Mickey says, I'm curious to know why a Kenyan agent would need an American agent's assistant. I don't know, but it's an opportunity. Maybe this Kenyan agent doesn't have a direct relationship with the particular cruise line they want to book, and they want an inbound operator to deal with it. Again, normally you see U.S. agents calling out to European agents or whatever, wherever they're located, for help locally. So, but it's good to be dubious, to make sure things are good so you don't get in trouble, or it could be a great opportunity. Barbara, Sam says, no way I'd get involved with this agent from Africa no matter how well I knew her. Too many risks and red flags. So there's another opportunity. Yeah, it's high risk. That's why I said you got to have that contract and money and stuff. I don't know. I don't want to say yay. I don't want to say no. It's up to you, Yvonne, to figure it out. We got 3 minutes left. Ed says, totally get your take on options for excursions and such. How would you take on a pre-post that you don't want in the main package? So what I'm hearing, Ed, is that you're dealing with a package that already has a built-in pre-post, and you don't want in the main package. Well, I'm not sure. If we were talking, I'd know deeper. But if it can't be disconnected, then find another package or see if they'll make a change or an adjustment. Some suppliers will make changes and adjustments. I'm not really sure, but definitely, if you're not comfortable, the client's not comfortable, you got to look elsewhere, or you got to try to make a change or try to make it work. Find out what the issue is that they don't like. That may not have been the answer you needed. Let me know, Ed. Patty says, MSC also allows overpayments. Good information. Stuart says, yes, in a kind and loving way indeed. When you're talking to that rep who really didn't show you the love that you needed, so you gave the business someplace else. Because you never want to burn that bridge. You always want to be there because you may need them, and you would hope they need you. Yvonne says, okay, Yvonne says, Kenya, we're talking about this Kenya opportunity. I used to take my individual clients on safaris. Now she is asking me to bring her local group here. Okay, so apparently, Yvonne, you've done business with her. You've been there, so you are experienced with this person. So it was not a random email or a random phone call. So everybody, I just want you all to know, because they were concerned for you. They want to make sure that it's all on the up and up. So that's pretty cool. All right. Do we have any last minute? We got 1 minute. Carolyn says, 1 minute. With client ease, do I contact them directly and just tell them I'm with boot camp? The answer is yes. Now, if you can't wait, you can certainly do that. However, Darla said next week she will have a new page ready for this, so which will answer a lot of questions. And of course, you can talk. You could call and talk to them and send an email to Darla, whatever, anytime. That's totally fine. But just so you know, she may not be ready to get you going until next week. Because also, remember, there's usually a $75 setup fee, and you don't have to pay that because you're in boot camp. That's part of the deal I worked out with Darla, because I have a feeling she's going to get some great clients, and I want her to succeed, and I want you guys to succeed. So that is it. Looks like it's going to be a wrap. Oh, boot camp extension details. Yes, yes, yes. Well, what happened was, we started last February. I launched boot camp, and we've had a lot of members reach their 1 year, and a lot of agents were like, "But wait a minute, we do. Oh yeah, we've done all the modules, we've done this, but we love the Ask Stuart Hour. We love the Facebook interaction, and we love being able to go back in and watch things again. Can we stay in? But we want to pay the same $600 or whatever." I'm like, fascinating. Absolutely. So I came up with what's called a boot camp extension. So after your 1 year period, you reach that, you have the option to stay in for a whole other year for $100. $100. Full access to everything, all the Ask Stuart Hours, and so forth. And I would say 80%, which is really high, agents choose to stay in, which is really cool. So let me know if you want it, but I do reach out to everybody and give you guys the opportunity if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, I still love you. I'm grateful you're here. If you do want to do it, super cool. All right, it's a wrap, everybody. Thank you all.